Without a wheelchair, I've seen people being wheeled around in a wheelbarrow.
Without a wheelchair, I've seen people on skateboards. I've seen them carried in on people's backs.
I've seen a 90-pound woman carrying a 150-pound son on her back.
Without a wheelchair, I've seen people suffering.
I've seen many people crawling in the dirt.
I've seen people unhappy, kind of low.
It's just incredible the way people try to get around.
"10 years. One goal: to give the gift of mobility to any man, woman, or child in the world who needs a wheelchair but cannot afford one."
I'm trying to see people smile that never smile.
Here is the story of the Wheelchair Foundation, told by the dedicated volunteers, donors, and staff who have helped bring hope, freedom, mobility, and smiles to millions of people worldwide.
Wheelchair Foundation got its start in 1999. We went to Romania and distributed wheelchairs, and from there we did wheelchair distributions at the Crow Indian Nation in Montana and then to Guatemala.
And we were in Guatemala City at the Presidential Palace, and I met a girl named Martina, and her family had been hit by a drunk driver. She had not been able to walk since that accident. We gave her a wheelchair, and in front of about 200 people, she moved across the floor and just lit into the most beautiful smile you could imagine.
And then from Guatemala, things got crazy and we just sprung out all over the world.
We've been to Peru and Belize, Honduras,
Angola, the Gaza Strip, Haiti,
Mexico, Panama, Costa Rica, El Salvador,
Morocco, Egypt, Tanzania, Kenya, Namibia,
Colombia, China, Botswana,
Thailand, Vietnam,
Bosnia, Sarajevo, Croatia.
probably forgetting a few countries in there.
Been around the world with wheelchairs, but the very first trip I went on was the one that we did the 1,000 wheelchairs in one day in Mexico. The president was there. Vicente Fox at the time was the president. I remember just the feeling of goodness. Like there was this feeling of if you were close to heaven as you could get on earth, that was probably it.
Not only have we learned the gift of giving, but we've created global friendships wherever we go. We've met first ladies, we've met presidents, we've met unbelievable personalities who have helped us provide this giving and shared the passion that we've shared.
A great story was when King Juan Carlos and Queen Sofia were going to Brazil. So they called up Ken Behring and said, "Could you please bring some wheelchairs and come to Brazil?" And we did. We pulled it together. We went to Brazil. We met with King Juan Carlos, Queen Sofia, the President of Brazil, and some wonderful recipients and a lot of smiles.
We owe about 250,000 of our wheelchairs to the assistance of Rotarians, and we've gone to about 125 countries. And I will truly say, without you, we never could have come close to accomplishing what we have.
Some years ago, when I was the world president of Rotary, I had a theme: real happiness is helping others. And when you get involved in a project like this, you really understand that something comes back into your own life when you reach out and touch the lives of other people.
Rotarians change and improve lives across the world. And I just want to thank all Rotarians that have helped the Wheelchair Foundation over the years. I just can't express our appreciation deep enough.
It was a very important distribution because the Colombian president and his wife were going to be present. There was this mother with this little boy, and he was just so excited. And his mom told us that that morning he had told her that he really wanted a red wheelchair, and he had no idea what color the wheelchair would be. And he got his red wheelchair, and he asked if he could say hello to the president. We told him that was unfortunately out of our control. And then the president came with all of his security guards. He stopped at the row where the mom and the boy were, and they ended up shaking hands. I was just so happy, and this moment and this boy has stuck with me all this time.
South Africa, magical moments with Nelson Mandela, thanking Ken Behring for coming all the way to South Africa to distribute wheelchairs and not wanting anything in return, just a smile on people's faces.
Our volume went from giving away a couple hundred wheelchairs a week to giving away tens of thousands of wheelchairs a month. We added staff and we grew and grew and grew.
On the 25th anniversary of one of the greatest earthquakes to ever hit the world, our family went to Tangshan in China. My father gave his comments and speech. Afterwards, he went down into the audience and went to the very first person on one end of the row, shook their hand, gave them a hug, started proceeding down the line. The Chinese officials didn't quite know what to do, how to respond. They had never seen anything like this before. One by one, they followed in behind my father and went and shook the hands of all these disabled people in China.
Nobody knew you could do it on such a large scale until Ken Behring came along and proved that you could do it on a large scale.
90% or more of the people involved with Wheelchair Foundation are volunteers.
I'm a volunteer with the Wheelchair Foundation, and I'm the chairman of the annual golf tournament. When you go on your first wheelchair distribution trip and you have the opportunity to pick up a 7 or 8 or 9-year-old child or a 80-year-old elder and put them in a wheelchair and see the smile on their face after not being able to have mobility all their life, it kind of answers a question for you. You just fall in love with the whole process of giving wheelchairs to people.
The donors are what make this so special.
We wouldn't be what we are without our donors. It's a partnership. They are not afraid to go someplace totally out in nowhere's land and to make a difference.
They enjoy helping other people. They're in it for that reason.
And it's that excitement, that adventurous spirit that has allowed us to carry on the way that we have. So our donors are our life. I mean, you know, it's a full partnership.
Ken Behring is one of the most incredible people I've ever had the opportunity to know.
He thinks everything is possible, and he doesn't want to hear, no, we can't do that. He has big ideas, and he wants to make big things happen.
Watching him put that first person in a wheelchair and seeing that emotion wrap around his heart, it was magic.
Mr. Behring, I want to thank you.
Everybody knows you don't do anything small. You only know how to do things one way, and that's on a grand scale.
I want to thank you for giving us all the opportunity to change lives and to improve ourselves and make us much more compassionate with our attitude towards others.
And the legacy you leave is not one of money, but it's one of love.
And you're a very generous, giving individual, and I love you for it.
We all say thank you, and they say thank you. Happy 10th anniversary, and happy birthday.
If you give a man a wheelchair and that man has spent his life looking up from the ground at everyone around him, elevating him to everyone else's level also elevates his soul.
A wheelchair gives an individual a greater desire to live and look towards the future.
It gives them the connection that we need as human beings.
The wheelchair is a vehicle to say that we love you and we want to help you.
A wheelchair brings a person wings. It lets them fly. And you'll see them, they soar. It's magic.